Feminists suck. They're just miserable. They're just not fun to be around. They always vote for, like, I don't know if you saw the screenshot of the polling in Canada right now, but we have an election coming up. And for those of you that are unaware, we've just endured 9 years of Justin Trudeau. Climate hysteria, wokeism, people kind, sending all kinds of money to fucking Ukraine, taxes going through the roof, carbon taxes, blah, blah, blah. And in the polls, they just replaced Trudeau with Carney, as a leader for the Liberal Party, which is really just a socialist party. And they're leading in the polls. Canada is fucked. Canadians that are going to vote for another Liberal government are like, this is all tied into the feminist ideology, right? Like, all of this is like, there's no independence, there's no freedom, there's no ability to make choices. If you don't remember, they locked us all the fuck down and made us wear masks and stand on docks and take a very ineffective and unsafe jab that didn't work. But you have to fucking be very, very careful with chicks. She identifies as a feminist. She doesn't like Trump. She doesn't like, the conservative leader in your country. She wants more refugees. More refugees welcome. More asylum seekers. So they can rape them later. Sort of thing. Any of those sound bites, exactly what you're dealing with. And guys, I am telling you, you can invite these women in your life. You can marry them. You can have a whole bunch of kids with them, but your life will be miserable. It will be difficult. It's going to be very hard. There's a strong probability during the divorce machine, which is going to happen 50% for all of you fucking guys out there, that she's going to take your kids, alienate you, separate you from your fucking money, and use that to fucking make you look like an asshole to your own kids. I've seen it happen. I've seen this movie thousands of times. I've talked to enough guys on private consults. Do not get involved with a feminist. Do not at all.
I've got a little bit of a more nuanced take. I agree with 99.9% of that. Now, you brought up some good, and I talked about this actually last week on my office hours, and I won't go on the whole thing, but I think what too many men are expecting nowadays is a completed work of art. They're looking for the statue of David. They're looking for the Mona Lisa. And women are moldable and malleable. Find a blank piece of canvas, find a blank, slab of marble, and then you mold her and you shape her how you want her. I don't care how good of I don't know how good of a painter you are, but if the canvas is ripped, you're not going to turn it into a painting. Now, obvious signs of a ripped canvas: the blue hair, overweight, the piercings, whatever the stuff they wear. Now, because a lot of guys came back and said, no, look, if I see a girl that posts on her dating app profile that she's a feminist, I immediately swipe left. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I'll grant you that. It might not be worth your time taking that risk. But let's say, look, like, because in those occasions where you're seeing the hair and the nose piercings and the whatever and the fatness, you're seeing someone's inner beliefs reflected on their outward appearance, right? Those are directly correlated. Cool. You can just cut bait. You don't have to waste your time. Now, those women you say be careful of, where it's like, oh, like they look relatively conservative and traditional, but they start spouting off like feminist talking points. I think there's a caveat there, and you mentioned it, which I think is really, really important. I think guys are too quick to cut bait on a girl the minute she says something like, I identify as a feminist. Because women like to go along to get along so well, they are still identifying what in girl world is the most popular thing, like rights for everybody, and it's biological and it's nature and that sort of thing, and I get all that. Single women tend to be more liberal because of without the influence of because my opinion is without the influence of a strong, powerful, virtuous, masculine man to actually steer them down the right path. Now, the important part is, yes, I think men are too easy to say like, oh, she said she's a feminist. She said she voted for Hillary. I'm going to not entertain this woman anymore. But I think there's something to be said for a guy that is going to sit there and say, yeah, I don't believe in any of that. I think all that's kind of funny, or that's bullshit, or you laugh it off, or use mastery, or whatever you want to do. And because think about it like this, a girl agrees to go on a date with you. She wants you to win. Women are constantly being bombarded. We already know this. I don't have to say this, guys, but women are constantly being bombarded with propositions for men. So the simple fact that she agreed to go meet you out for a coffee or a drink, like, you are already in like the top 10% of dudes because she's even out with you. So that you're already winning. And she wants you to win because she got dressed up. She met you. She went through traffic. She bailed on her girlfriends, maybe. Regardless. So when she sees that you're a guy that is just like, yeah, I don't believe in that. I think that's ridiculous. So like, yeah, Hillary like eats babies or whatever you want to do, as long as you don't get into a legitimate conservative liberal politics debate, which is one of the dumbest things you can do as a man, you're probably going to be okay. Now, I think that a lot of women in that scenario will say like, oh, wow, this guy is not some liberal feminist pussy that I can push around, or he actually doesn't agree with this. Maybe I'm wrong about this kind of stuff, because again, she's doing the go along to get along. She's like, oh, this guy who I really like is standing on his business and he's not being pushed around by these talking points. Do I think there's plenty of women out there that absolutely will drive that stuff home? And that's the importance of what we talk about, that vetting period, that 6 months to 18 months to 24 months. Now, if she's still doing this stuff 5, 6, 7, 8 months down the line, she's still, hopefully you're like 3 months is enough for her to start changing some of these things, or for her to start talking and acting a little bit differently, as long as you're doing the right things. So it's yes, you have to be very careful by inviting these women into your life, absolutely. But I think there's a lot more women out there that will identify as a feminist or tell you on a date they're feminist, and the minute that you say, nah, it's all bullshit, they'll change their tune. There's also a lot of women that will double and triple down on it, and that's where your powers of discernment have to come into play. But I think guys are just hearing like, oh, she said feminist, so therefore I'm going to talk to her about politics and I'm going to suck all the air out of the room and I'm going to dry her up. And they wonder why it's so hard to find, a chick, because they underestimate their power of influence by being a guy that she's interested in. She continues to be interested and invested in. She'll continue to be invested. And all of a sudden now you got your conservative trad wife or whatever the hell you want. Not saying that that's an end goal, but that's my take on that. So I don't disagree with anything. I just think guys are a little bit too quick to cut bait, because when you find a chick that is saying, I'm a feminist, but her outward appearance and the things and the way she carries herself doesn't necessarily reflect what she says, her actions and her words are not lining up, what do you always do? You believe the actions. And she very well may have actions that are carrying her down the road. She might want to go to a protest, or she might want to go put on a pussy hat and go march on DC. Okay, now she's voting with her feet. But if she says all this stuff and she's like, yeah, like I used to ask these girls, when I would go on dates, like, yeah, I'm a feminist. I'm like, all right, let me ask you this. Like, if you met a guy that would take care of you and pay for everything and said you could quit your job and you could stay home and make kids, would you do it? Yeah, 100%. Almost every single time. That's a really good litmus test, I would think. If a woman is like, yeah, I wish I didn't have to work, but I work because I have to, not because I want to, probably at least a green flag to move forward in the interaction. But if she's like, no, I love my job. If she's like my ex, who said verbatim, I don't think I'd ever be able to love my kids more than I love my career, probably time to get out of that one, dude. So that's my take on that.
So what you're saying, Moff, is you can save her.
I thought I could.
So you're saying that you can save her?
It's not about saving. It's about, I'm calling bullshit. And I think that if you do it in the right way, or if you don't take women seriously, they're just trying to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. But I do think if a woman displays behavior, we're like, oh, wow, like, okay, your behaviors do line up with your words and you are a feminist and I need to get the hell out. But if she tells you, yeah, I'm a feminist, but then she's coming over and cooking for you and doing your laundry and she's doing all these things and she's acting in a way that is the opposite of what she's saying, that's probably a good sign.
Yeah. So ask some questions, basically, and
pay attention.
Use logic and reason on women, which I have not found to be very effective. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.